This conference will now be recorded.
Hello.
I see we have a member of the public there.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Communication Committee. It is January 23rd, 2025. The time is 7:01 p.m. and this is the call to order. The very first thing to look into is the minutes from 1/9/25.
Hopefully everybody got a chance to read them, and I never received any comments, so if someone wants to make a motion to any discussion, I guess at this moment. There is some. Okay.
Two small things. First, bottom up the first page. Sentence that begins, a town meeting warrant.
Yeah,
It's not a sentence.
I can't hear you.
It's not a sentence, so there's no verb.
Is a verb.
Well, yes, but continue to read.
And check for language back. Okay, so somehow you want me to turn that into a more formal sentence in
So
what way?
the meeting should be readable at a 12th grade.
Should be.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And then on the last page, page 4.
Yep.
Chat GPT should be chat CPT.
I'm looking for it. I'm not seeing it.
GPT.
CHATGBT.
GPT.
Golf Papa Thomas.
Thank you. Us military guys still do that.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, I'm like, that's wrong.
Actually, it should be 10.
Yeah. Okay. So then I guess I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Then.
So,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comments. I haven't seen anything, no emails, nothing, so I think we are good. Communication manager update. How are we doing, Kate?
We're doing. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, good. So not a lot has happened. Well, a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks, but not a lot of new stuff to report on. Just continuing with a lot of the things that we had talked about during our last meeting. And I don't know if it's worth mentioning now or when we get down to point 6 later with the communication plan. I did not receive emails from anybody that had like low-hanging communication things that they wanted dealt with.
Nobody from our group or nobody from other groups? But like
nobody from our group.
Okay. Let's discuss that when we get down to that section.
Yeah. Yep. So that's all the update there is for now, which isn't much of an update.
Lots of stuff happening. Just lots of stuff happening.
Yeah, just lots of stuff happening.
I do have one question, Kate, and I'm not sure what it falls in. You and I had talked about setting up that meeting with the chiefs, and I kind of forgot where that ended. To talk about the emergency communications team. Was I supposed to do something? Were you? I can't remember where that. Hello?
Loser?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay. We had that conversation about the emergency communications team, and I know you touched base with the chiefs, and they said they're on board.
Mm-hmm.
I forget, was I supposed to do something? Were you supposed to do something? I forget what the next step was.
I'm in the process of setting up that meeting.
Okay. Good. I just want to make sure I didn't forget to do something.
Nope, not you.
Okay. Okay. Are you okay? Can you speak? Can you breathe? I know 911.
All right. Let's move on for Kate's sake. BCTV, how we doing?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. We're moving through some bumpy times for meetings. We're working on getting it to the goal, 2 clicks to get up with the login.
So when you say with meetings, you mean go to meeting?
Yes, go to meetings. We are pretty close, but in preparing all the meetings, I've been having to go through and see which meetings are duplicates. There's a couple committees that meet in a different meeting.
Pause you for a second. I don't think a lot of the people in the room know. I think a few people in the room know what's happened,
Okay,
but not everybody in the room.
okay.
Yes.
Well, we know that GoTo has been a struggle for quite a while. We did a new round of meeting and trying to come up with solutions for making it run more smoothly and figuring out whose hands it is in to get set up. So we had something happen like a month ago now, where people were joining in different meeting rooms trying to go to the same meeting, which is bad because only one is on the agenda.
I'm a little confused. You're saying that there were different codes on different pieces of paper, or?
Codes and links,
Okay.
both together, yeah.
And this was the joint meeting of the finance,
Yeah, it's
school,
a big one,
and select board.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of an.
yeah. I mean,
I see.
BCTV got it.
So people were ending up where they shouldn't be ending up, and there was nothing there for them to see.
Well,
In the live GoTo,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
I was still observing how things were working, so I hadn't come and set it up for people. So we officially made my duty to set things up now. And yeah,
What does that mean?
so
Your duty, you have to be here every night, you have to be available online all the time.
getting things started, one of our group to make sure everyone's going to be opening the meeting themselves. That's why we came to the conclusion a lot of the confusion is with logging in and out of GoToMeeting. Some people will just jump right to the application and try to get in, and then they'll get in the wrong one.
Share screen, yeah.
yeah.
So I guess, all right, I don't understand what you're supposed to be doing, but okay.
Yeah, so everyone will be responsible for opening their meeting and getting it live, but
So,
I will be around to make sure that goes smoothly.
So each committee is responsible, someone's going to be designated to be responsible.
Yeah, that's the way it has been.
Yeah.
But we're trying to make it so you can log in from any of these three computers, which is possible now because each room is a co-organizer on all the meetings that should be the correct meetings on the agendas that are being posted. I'm checking that throughout the week to make sure those line up.
Okay, so, all right, checking codes, checking, all right.
We haven't officially deployed that plan yet. It's set up to go.
In transition.
Yeah, in transition.
But does this mean you physically have to be on site every night?
Me?
Yeah,
No, I can get phone calls if it's not working right.
okay,
I mean, big picture, BCTV is gonna be integrating with the GoToMeeting. So getting the GoToMeeting up means getting BCTV up, which is my job every day. So, and our volunteers.
there was a discussion at one time about changing apps, is that still on the table?
We've been through a few discussions and comparisons with
Yeah.
Zoom.
It's a bit of a stalemate in any of the discussions
It
we've
is.
had, that like we already on GoTo, people are already set with GoTo, like
I
all
would
the
say-
agendas are GoTo.
I would say half the committees are not set with GoTo.
Oh, right. Right. But it's, one of those like, well, I think some of the power is still in IT's hands of they made the decision and things, and we
So
have
they're
just kind of pulled the
comfortable with
trigger.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
but now that BCTV is running things, I think there's maybe more sway towards moving.
I've tried 4 times to get in touch with the salespeople for Zoom just to see what it would cost in comparison, because they have Zoom for government. I still have not been able to get through to them. Like, they're really hard to reach. But I think part of the decision too is the fact that our fiscal year first starts in July. So we have to make this work in the short term, no matter what. And there can be a million problems between that.
I mean, basically what's happening is Esther's trying to streamline the sign-in process. We had a meeting where we realized that's the flaw, is the sign-in process. you can see that she's changed the background on the computers with a step-by-step instruction. I know it's difficult to read when it's that small, but all this, that's the screen, that's the desktop to this computer in this room right here.
Oh, okay.
So we're really, not me, Esther is really trying to streamline the process and standardize the names and make it as simple as possible. And there you can see a little bit better, for everybody to sign consistently across the board. Now, the other part of it too is that we really, in my opinion, need to start training people to think about getting support in the room for big meetings.
Yes.
So like, for example, where this crashed and burned was a school finance select board meeting that was held in this room. So the middle of the room was taken up by the tables for all the committee members. And then you had out in the hallways, additional people, parents, all wanted to attend the meeting.
Mhm.
And I think they had, what, 80 people online
Yeah,
in the go-to-meeting room. So
but it was set up as a regular.
right, I mean, something like that should have been in the auditorium. I mean, there's no question about it, and we gotta really start putting that bug in people's ears that, if you're gonna have a meeting like that, this isn't the room to do it in,
But nobody wants to be the stage manager. Nobody wants to be that technician who calls up the committee and says, here, let me help you get this thing started right.
Well, no, I mean, to me, it should have been any one of those committee chairs or Steve say,
They don't think that way.
and that's what we have,
that's the
and
part of
that's
the
what we have
problem.
to get them to start thinking that way. And I'm surprised Steve didn't, because he's been burned 3 times now by this. So that's the sort of thing to really put in their ear. And the ironic thing about that, guys, that happened during our last meeting. So we're all sitting in,
Oh, yeah.
we were sitting in that room when all that happened, so,
Yes.
I don't think you're gonna be able to get the committee members to think that way.
well,
I think that's why, I think, in
Well, it starts with the town
why
manager's office, I
or
think.
there's a technician or advisor to all these, to the town who says, if you're gonna have a town meeting and you need to have this and that and that, and the committees don't think that way. To them, they walk in at 6:59 for their 7 o'clock meeting and they expect it to go.
Well, I kind of disagree with you on that, Luke, because I think after that last meeting, I'd have to imagine school finance and select board are gonna be thinking along that way, because they're gonna remember that energy's not gonna think that way anymore because they got burned. Board of Health.
Board of Health did the same thing.
Yeah, so,
I-
I mean, we
Okay,
need to be reinforcing it, obviously.
I'll be
But I think-
optimistic.
I think that, we've had enough of these happen, that the point's being made. The mandate came down from Steve after that meeting, fix this. He came out and said, fix this. So we're working on fixing it.
Yeah.
Esther's putting in a lot of work to make it work.
And I actually agree with Lou's point, that I think it is good. They've been burned, so there's a good chance that it'll be top of mind for the next meeting, but I am concerned in general. Like, I don't think it is or should be necessarily the priority of them to make sure that, at least technology and go-to is up to speed. This is one solution that we did come to. It's the idea of, oops, I'm not screen sharing anymore. Am I screen sharing? Never tried to.
You are.
Hang on.
You
Put it
were,
down.
you're not gonna.
I was, share. Okay.
Well, that doesn't really. I don't know, go full screen with this.
Okay. So you might have noticed that I changed the desktop background in here. That was after that big mess, realizing like the instructions were here, but they weren't on the screen where it's already pulled up. So going on that idea, wanted to make the desktop the instructions. These squares, once every meeting is reliably going to the same meeting every time with the right ID, which many are not, that meeting will have a shortcut in the square. And so the computer will be on, ready to go, and someone can come in, double click on the shortcut, and just open the meeting.
Okay,
It's the goal.
So all the committees will have a name, and if they click on their committee name, they should go right to the go-to-meeting
Yes,
with little or no necessary steps on their part.
yes. The part that we could get tripped up, the fatal flaw of GoTo really is the part where it interfaces between the web and the web app. I've seen it happen this week where you can be signed in as one person on the web page and then still signed in as someone else when it goes to the app. Because you join it and then it pops up the app. So we're gonna have to watch how that plays out. See what challenges come up with that. But
Do you think you're gonna have to do some training for the committees?
I just don't know how training will work.
Well, I mean, to show them how the new system works.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a want for it. All I would know how to do is reach chair people and
Maybe just a
say, wanna
video.
go over it. Video. That's a good idea.
Or at least maybe have to attend at least one of their meetings. And show them
Yeah, that
all.
was the idea for getting it deployed.
I think show them all. on the
Introduce
committee,
it. Yeah.
So that, so they're all aware of it. And, maybe create a checklist too, and one parts of the checklist could be, if you're holding an important meeting, consider the venue that it's gonna be in. Don't hold a three committee meeting in here, sort of thing.
Well,
We're
I mean,
already planning for the 6th of February, which is another one. So people are already doing a little better. The next one.
Is that another three?
It's another finance joint committee meeting on the
I'm gonna
6th.
say 90% of the time they hold it in here, and there's
Yeah.
nothing really to talk about, but as soon as you get an audience, you're right.
Yeah, it's the school budget.
And I have to imagine too, that now that we're being out there more, we're going to get more participation, which is good, which is a good thing, now that we're being so visible, we're going to meeting with all these things. I'd like to think that we will get more people showing up, either virtually or in person,
Definitely.
They're posting more on Facebook, and so it's becoming, and they're getting it ahead of time, so people are getting to see what's coming up. And, yeah. Is there somebody talking?
Margaret,
Hey,
you want to say? Yep.
you guys can hear me? I just had an idea. It's not directly related to these problems, but I was thinking about it. Because I guess one of the things I'm wondering about is it seems like we don't have Belchertown, the town doesn't have the ability to have staff around like you, Esther, or somebody else to help with all the meetings. So I'm assuming that's the case. So there could also be if there are things that can go wrong technically, even if everybody's been through the training of how to use GoTo, this could be an opportunity to have some other involvement of I was thinking in my head students, like high school students who are really good with technology could be could form a group of support to these meetings if committees wanted to lean on them. This is again, beyond what you guys are talking about, the issues you're dealing with right now, but something like that maybe could be useful if there's a lot of meetings and a lot of ongoing technology issues that you just need some competent person to be able to navigate. And young people know technology very well, so it'd be an interesting way to bring them into things. Just an idea.
Looking at how excited Melissa is.
Well, we had had that conversation before in terms of, getting them involved from the technology point of view, which also could have the knock-on effect of getting them involved in town government.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Listen, what's your thoughts on that?
I think this is a great idea. I think if we put out there that it's for volunteering and it can be counted as something you put on your resume, I think people would definitely sign up for it.
it's
You need it.
Yeah.
gotta be for some kind of credit.
Right.
Because meetings are boring for high school students. If you're volunteering, I want them in a program where they can do some of the things they're really excited about.
Right.
Or at least school credit.
They get a T-shirt. I'm serious.
Well, also-
You can pay.
Also, there's a lot of,
But if you
I was
give
gonna
them a
say-
T-shirt, they'll move mountains for you.
All right, Kate's turn.
Kate's turn. Yep.
I was just going to say there's a lot of like high school youth that need to complete volunteer hours, whether it's for like a scouting project or religious service or something like that. So there's definitely volunteer like kids looking for volunteer opportunities in the high school level.
Is that true?
Definitely, yeah,
You have
absolutely.
to, you have to have some sort of volunteer credit?
I had to do it for National Honor Society. I had to get like 10 hours every year.
Okay.
I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if they're going for college. It looks good on their college applications. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for the summer or the fall starting. Right now, if I brought on volunteers to help with this, it would not go well.
Well, I mean, maybe that's, the plan could be by fall, we have a program in
Yeah.
place that people can start signing up for. You work out all these bugs here, so
Yeah,
they're not frustrated with trying to fix this stuff,
yeah.
There's something in place.
Well, and in theory, then, if there will be a change, it's going to happen come July 1st, one way or the other. So why train them to something that may or may not still exist? So,
The obvious thing I forgot to say, of course, we have our current volunteers right now coming in to do switching. When the two are combined, there might be less of that work. So it could transfer to our people now are coming in to make sure things are set up, make sure things break down, as opposed to what we're currently doing.
so you're suggesting that the consoles and the cameras may walk out of the room, we're going to do owls for live meetings?
They don't have to walk out. It's just you can cover more rooms with one person.
Okay, I'm not hearing, but okay, that's fine.
Not a bad idea.
So
If we could get
it's a
the-
suggestion then that they would be checking the owl if there's a problem and then still doing their live broadcast. Is that what I'm hearing?
It depends how the new live stream merge of GoTo and what has been broadcast goes. Because it might look very similar with switching throughout.
Okay, I'm not, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't understand it, but that's fine.
I think it's a good idea. Definitely worth taking a shot at it. Both getting the students involved and, getting volunteers with BCTV and whatnot. Like, let's go for it,
And if you need like contacts, like I can help with that.
That would be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I just realized after, now building the idea, we're creating work for you to do, Esther, to train more people, so we could also help with that or help get it going, so it doesn't have to all fall on you to create, more people who know how to handle these things.
Okay, the other thing that I did want to bring before the communications committee, so we're going to switch from currently Sprout we're using, which is a private video posting, get the analytics, but it looks like our very blank website. And that has been working. People click to it off the Belchertown site. I can't live stream to it the same way you can with integrations to YouTube. So in the future, I think YouTube is going to be easier because you'll just stream live and then it's immediately available on YouTube. So eventually we'll go there. I started our YouTube channel. I've been just redundantly posting videos that we also post to Sprout. I don't know when is appropriate to pull the trigger and change the link from going to Sprout to going to our YouTube. Our YouTube is easier to upload to. I just don't know if I made a big change like that, if there would be, people would not like it.
If there's a link, as you said, on the town website to the YouTube, then it's a Mox Nix, but, and there's a yearly contract on Sprout, so I think it's in October.
Yeah, I thought it was May.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But that would be the time for the changeover if you're thinking about.
Yeah, and Sprout's also a little inconvenient because we're at our capacity for the amount of stuff you can put on there, so we have to continually make sure things are backed up, taken off.
Can you run them as parallel? Is it possible for a period of time?
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do now. so that if we're not reliant on the YouTube.
But YouTube's not active or it's not available for us to go and look at.
Oh, no, it is. Our channel is up. It's the same right now.
And it's called Belchertown Community TV or?
The handle is @Belchertown TV.
Okay.
And I just today made an update because that has gotten to the point where it's gotten confusing having to. So I made an update on our current Sprout website explaining that there's a transition and in the meantime, you could go to the YouTube. Sometimes those are easier to get up. Yeah.
Okay. You said you get your own analytics from Sprout. Does that include like page clicks and stuff like that?
Yes.
So we could actually, with a message at the top saying that you're transitioning to a new system, you could have a link to it and actually see how many people click out and into the new system, right?
Yeah.
So if you're seeing like, 100 people a week come into the site and 100 people a week click on the YouTube link, maybe that's a good indicator that it's like, all right, well, we're pretty close to time to just swap over.
Yeah. I know click rate is like usually pretty low on things, so I wonder just if it's 2 clicks, that's the difference.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a good idea.
Are you gonna put the YouTube channel on your webpage?
Yes. Currently, the town website says watch coverage of live meetings or watch past meetings. Those go to our Sprout.
Right.
Instead, they could go to our YouTube.
It's maybe not good. I was going to say it's maybe not a bad idea. So he has your page on belchertown.org up. Sorry, not everybody can see it, including the people in there. But we could add in on the left navigation a link that is like the new YouTube channel or something as well.
Yeah.
You can see how many people are clicking through to that.
Yeah.
Or what would be nicer, and I think it can be done, but I'm not sure, is embedding it on the page. So you actually don't leave our site.
Oh, well, the current embed on the town website you can do. Sprout, which looks like the town website, you can't do that.
Right. That's what I'm saying with YouTube, yeah.
Yeah.
Embed instead of going out.
Well, you would embed a video.
I'm not sure if you can embed a channel or not.
No, just video.
Right.
And I will say, I've been doing a lot of research into state level coverage of events like we did live the State of the Commonwealth. So like the Healy administration, they have their web page and then you click off and it's their YouTube channel. They also link to other departments' YouTube channels. So it's definitely not out of the realm of what people do.
I feel like if the state is doing it, then.
Yeah, state is also doing Zoom.
Good to know.
Do you want, we have Zoom that we use at work, like my job, and we pay for it. Do you want me to look into how much we pay a year? I know it's not expensive.
No, because that would be the business edition.
So you would think I would.
Which they do post.
Cheaper.
I have no idea if the government version is more expensive. I feel like it would be, because it's more secure. Which we don't necessarily need that version, but we might have to have that version. I don't know, because they will not get back to me.
There's no contact us, there's no human being, phone number, anything.
I've called a few times, I can't get him.
Okay. I mean, there is a number, nobody's responding.
There's a number. There's a live chat too. I've live chatted twice. She's hung up on me.
I kind of got the same thing with Canva, that like,
Really?
I reached out and was like, yeah, we have a large municipality, about 200 people. Like, what can we do with this? And just like they start a conversation and then just nothing follows up.
Yeah.
So.
It's weird.
Okay, so I just put into ChatGPT, how much does a government Zoom cost?
Ooh.
And it came back with, okay, it's not publicly available. To obtain detailed pricing information, it is recommended to contact an authorized distributor directly.
Yep, that's what I've been doing.
So it's, what they're saying is not contacting Zoom.
Yep.
But apparently they have distributors.
Yeah, I've been contacting Carasoft, which is seemingly the only active distributor.
Well, they list Cloud9 Data Solutions.
Yeah, I tried them. I don't know that they're still an official channel. I forget why I came to them.
But yeah, it's interesting they say, yeah, don't contact
I wish
Zoom.
there were many options.
So there's a layer,
Well,
Zoom.
you
Zoom
know,
has
what
to
usually
distribute.
is find some other
Yeah,
town that's
yeah.
using Zoom, like maybe Amherst is using Zoom.
Just ask them.
And so,
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Definitely.
they probably have like a contact that they work with.
Yeah. And for the record, also, if you're wondering what other towns are doing in terms of the tech problems, Amherst just has their regular tech guy working way overtime.
Yeah. He attends every meeting. Every meeting.
But
Yeah,
he shouldn't
I
come
take
to work.
it you don't want to do that.
No, I do want to do that.
He shouldn't come to work till 3:00 in the afternoon then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's been my plan, is to angle, I don't come in the morning
Yeah,
most
I
of the
know.
time, or
Yeah.
take a break in the middle.
Yeah.
To be available at night.
Anything else that we can help you with, assistance?
So we'll keep the transition on the website for a while. Get used to that. And the only other thing of note is I just discovered there's a way of linking video that we had been doing that I have not been doing since we transferred from Lou. Do you know what? I think it's been in Steve's office, but they've been going to the agenda page. And on the agenda page, they were somehow linking videos that we had posted.
That's coming out of Terry's office. That's the clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a message from Melissa and Kate, that they were missing. So I'm just I just need access to the agenda center module, and then I can pick that back up. But
I can add you to that, Esther, but you need a
Okay.
new microphone. You're coming in and out a lot.
Just move closer.
Okay. This on?
Maybe it's that one.
Okay. Yeah, agenda module.
So I saw the request come through because I'm an admin on the site as well. That section, the agenda center, is like Terry's domain, and
Yeah.
she has very much made it clear that like she doesn't want anybody else in there. So if there's stuff that you need to do in there, just make sure you clear it with her before we just give you access and you start adding things.
Yeah. I mean, if it's something she would prefer to do the linking herself, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I just don't know where in the chain of command.
You can talk to her directly.
Yeah. I sent her one email so far about the go-to stuff.
And her assistant worked for Northampton and is familiar with Civic Plus.
Cool.
So she knows how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Which also kudos to Terry, because she's the one that identified this problem. Because I sent in the agenda for this meeting, and they go through and they actually test the links, make sure they work. And she's the one that identified our typical vanity one didn't work, which kind of precipitated this, and we found that this isn't working. So thanks to Jennifer and Terry identifying that.
Yeah, I just sent a compiled from the agendas, a spreadsheet that's got the most recent links from each meeting, so with meeting IDs, so no matter what the link is. So much to be able to get there, but in order to get committees definitely using the same meeting every time, because some don't.
That's strange. Aren't they assigned? I thought they were assigned codes by Kevin that were applicable until the chair changed.
I wish.
Okay.
A lot of us evolved out of COVID.
Yeah.
And a lot of us evolved out of COVID.
So we're still catching up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kate, do you still have something to say? Yeah. Just saw your hand was up. Okay. Anything else about
That's it.
any other
That's
questions, comments, concerns from anybody? We good online? Okay. Excellent. So let's move on next to the communication plan. It sounds like Kate was owed some stuff and that didn't come through. Also, Esther, could you kill the screen share on your side?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, apparently we can't. I think you have.
Another thing that's really awful about go-to permissions.
Okay. So what's how is the communication plan going?
It hasn't gone anywhere since we last talked. We had our last meeting, and between that meeting and this meeting, you guys were going to email me with ideas that you had of things that could be improved upon for communication in town, and I didn't hear from anybody. Because we were going to kind of come back and talk about those and see what ideas everybody had similar and stuff, and I didn't get anything.
Nothing came through.
Nothing.
Needs improvement.
Okay.
Nothing needs improvement. Everything's perfect. Committee disbanded.
I shall send you something.
I'm confused. So there are something like 30 different projects in the communications plan currently.
No, this is the tactical plan, not yours.
I didn't understand.
Yeah, you weren't here for the last meeting. You're probably not up to date on it. So we know that we have the work that you did, and we all agree that that is definitely the excellent start that we need for this plan. But Kate and the rest of us think that we also need some of what we were suggesting before with Ed's stuff, where let's look at some low-hanging fruit that we can take care of in the next 6 months. Short-term stuff that we can actually start to write out and give example to and say okay, so these are the things that we're thinking of that we can do right now. And the communication plan being a live editable document, as we always planned it to be, we can always just tack on new projects as they come up or finish off other projects. So the idea is to not only present your work, but a handful of short-term ideas as well, already planned out and ready to be picked up by the town. So the request was to send Kate a bunch of those low-hanging fruits, and Kate just said she dropped out. Maybe she's back now, but nobody emailed her. So we need to get back to that. Get back to Kate and put in some ideas.
And quite honestly, sorry.
So I'm still not clear. So with respect to the overall direction of the project, I think we don't agree. And I expected to hear what you just said, with one exception. So we do have something like 30 projects approximately in this plan. And so the question is, are all of those short-term projects in the plan? I think most are, maybe
A lot of them are, yeah.
So wouldn't it make sense then to determine about how long each would take, and then to actually have a short and long-term plan, arranging those projects in terms of how difficult they are, how many people are required to do it, how long it would take, all of the variables that we would expect to see. That is what a tactical plan is. So typically, after developing a strategic plan, what happens is the same group looks at each of these projects, develops a tactical plan, and then puts them in order of, as I said, ease, capability, etc. So this is an unusual strategy to me, that you pick 3 out of 30 and decide to do them. Why would you do that?
So I think it was more that we should. So I had said before we had a bunch of identified ones,
Yes.
right? And I know that there was a lot of back and forth over which ones should take priority and which not. We came up with the idea that we were going to try to put out another list of priorities and compare that against what we had, which didn't come to we didn't send anything. I'm all for your strategy of sitting down, looking at them all, seeing how long we think that they could all take. I just think we need to, the plan is to just sit down and do this, I think. And I don't know if I'm sort of letting you guys take the wheel and say when to do this, because between Kate and you two who have been on the project, I'm sort of letting you run with it. So if that's the strategy, then let's go with it.
Well, see, my concern though is Kate needs a planning process like you're talking about is too long-term. Kate needs to go to work every day and have an idea of what she needs to do now. in my mind. You know, for example, let's use Facebook, for example. Kate's posting on Facebook and posting well and doing a great job on it. That's something that needs to be done in the here and now. You know, we can't wait for a planning process on that. There are other things that she's doing to improve communications in town, the here and now. You know, that if you look at your communications plan, it's probably in there, but she needs, in my mind, and Kate, please tell me if I'm way off mark, please, but, you know, this is stuff that needs to be implemented and can't wait for a long-term planning process.
I thought she had some 60-day goals that she was supposed to be working on also, that she identified the last time she was here. So that, I mean, she and Steve identified her 3 priority 60-day goals, right? I don't know how they fall into the strategic plan, but.
Yeah, so I guess my most important comment here would be 90 to 92% of strategic plans fail. So that's the first thing to know. Why did they fail? They failed because not enough planning has gone into developing the tactical plans. Period.
Right, but I mean, we don't have that luxury of having a long planning process for a tactical plan right now. We have things that have to be done now.
Well,
You know?
so we know that there are things that need to be done now, but we've also identified a few things that need to be done more longer term.
Sure.
Right? Like we have this list, we've put it together. And this is what's kind of gotten me is like, why couldn't we just make a statement that this handful of things, such as social media and the GoToMeeting stuff, are all already being currently handled, right? So there is no plan necessary or needed right now. They're already in action. Here are the next things that we're lining up, and here are some of the plans that we're putting together for them, right? That like there has to be like a start date of like we're going to start doing it seriously starting this date with these specific things, right? And that those are going to be part of the communication plan. And like, yeah, there's always going to be. I mean, we keep talking about low hanging fruit, but like right now, Kate is dealing with the fruit that's on the ground, right? That's already fallen from the tree. That's already like starting to rot. Like, you know, to continue using the metaphor, but like, so let's let this fruit on the ground still be collected, and let's talk about what needs to be done, right? And that it's just like we need to get to this point. We need to start writing a strategy, start getting together for some of these things.
But I think so. I mean, otherwise, Esther correctly brought up all of these issues that have to be addressed, right? But what we were doing then is, in a committee meeting, we're essentially trying to identify the strategies that would address the problems that she's raising. That's very unusual. I mean, typically, a committee takes an administrative role, right? So it does the work of converting strategy to tactics. But what it doesn't do, though, is address questions at that level. So if we don't do some of this planning, then maybe each of our meetings would be like this, where somebody comes up with a problem or with one of our projects. And then what do? Do we sit around talking about, here are the steps necessary to solve these, to address each of these steps? That's very unusual.
Right, it's usually split working groups.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So typically each of these projects would have a leader and then would have a group that would assist, right?
Yeah. And
that group would meet and then develop all of the various tactics, all the various steps necessary to execute the plan.
And to continue your example of Esther's like GoToMeeting work, that was done in a smaller group with Ed, myself, Kate, Kevin, and Esther. We got together in the town manager's office, talked about a bunch of this stuff, put a plan forward. I think this part of it is just presenting it and looking for extra ideas outside of that space. So I think our tactics for that worked very well on the fly. And I think that's what we're looking for is more of that, like, okay, we'll talk here about what needs to be done and then set up break-off groups. You know, the newsletter is a break-off group. The go-to has been. So I think we're doing that in a way, but yes, you're right. We need to, I don't want these meetings to be like, okay, let's pick one topic and work it out. Like that's not, you're right, that's not what we should be doing here. That's for those.
Who are you suggesting as a working group? The members of this committee for all of these things? Plus
Well,
the appropriate department
to figure out the next steps on things and to start to put together some of the, again, low hanging fruit projects. I thought that that's what the three of you were up to, right?
No, I've been,
Yeah, no.
And if not, then what do we need? Then what do we need to do to get there, right? Then we need to put other people on it, right?
This was my understanding on it the last we had talked, was Mark was going to, his communication plan was going to be the long-term part of what we were going to do. That's what you're going to be developing. And you were going to edit it to take out some of the stuff we had talked about.
Yes.
And streamline it.
Yes.
I was going to work with Kate on coming together with the more, what do we need to do now sort of stuff, the more tactical kind of, the here and now sort of thing. You know, and we've had a few meetings talking about some of the things like, you know, the emergency communications team, working with the fire department on putting together some PR for them, things like that. You know, I do feel like we're going around and around on this, and I'm almost throwing my hands up on it. I'm glad to help, but I feel like we keep coming to cross purposes on what we're going to do. So I'm willing to roll up my sleeves, but I'm just not sure what I'm being asked to do. And I'm confused. I'm confused. All right. On where we want to go with this.
What about Kate's 3 mandated projects between her and Steve? What's happening with those? Is that part of us, or is that separate from us?
That hasn't been part of it. So, yeah, Allegra, do you have something? So far, those haven't been added to the.
Okay.
Hi. Sorry, I just have to, well, I can turn my camera on. I'm just walking around my house because one of my dogs he has a drinking problem and he has to go out all the time. I just wanted to say that I think, like I hear what everybody's saying, and I think there's almost like, amusingly enough, a miscommunication in the communication committee. You know, I think part of the problem is terminology. So Ed, what you were proposing to get done, you know, right away with Kate, that is tactical, but there's also this tactical element to the long-term plan that Mark has been spearheading. And so it makes sense. Sorry, the dog's going out now. It makes sense that, like, I think both things can happen at the same time, actually. Like, Mark, I don't know how you want to take the planning forward, but it makes sense to me that you would included that tactical. The next part is to expand the tactical part of it and figure out what can get done when and how to prioritize those things. And also, in the meantime, we can be realistic with the hours that Kate can give us right now and how to fill them most effectively until we get that tactical planning a little further, that we can actually start implementing it. I don't know if that helps clarify, but I'm not necessarily seeing a big conflict between the different ways people are thinking of how to get things done here. Just wanted to add that.
I said my understanding was that strategic, tactical, and you weren't doing any tactical, you were doing only strategic. So the idea of Mark expanding beyond the strategic towards the tactical, I don't think is part of what he sees as his job.
right.
Right, but we were to take the tactical plans to create the strategics.
No, strategic plan to tactical.
Always.
So you start with the strategic,
So, okay,
then the tactical group looks at this one particular problem and says,
sorry, yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
$800,000, 12 people, 2 years. Step 1, go out RFP, kind of stuff. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you and Kate were doing, was getting started on the tactical plan, developing the tactical plans as we suggested.
No, because we don't really have a strategic communications plan yet to work on. Because that's in process, right? So.
Except for taking action things, it's,
I mean, and Kate, you know, you're the one that's gonna have to live with this and implement it and all that stuff. What's your thoughts on all this?
I have a lot of thoughts, but it's really hard to talk tonight. So I'm mostly listening and observing unless it's something like
Okay.
that I've got to talk about. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, I don't want to keep deferring this stuff, but do we want to table it till next meeting? Yeah.
Do we need to finalize a strategic plan so you'll feel more comfortable doing a tactical
Well,
plan?
not finalized. I mean, I don't know. We're waiting for the next version on that, where you're gonna pull out all the stuff like the surveys and all this sort of thing. Make that a separate document.
Which I've done that part.
Okay.
But there are other things that should come out. So what I did, and I'm gonna go down the path here, but I'll come back. So what I did was, after our last discussion about this, I read through the 15 projects that we had looked at prior to coming up with our own. And I wanted to see whether there was extraneous material in our plan and what that was, because essentially that's what you were saying. You also suggested that a lot of this should go into an appendix. Right. So I went through the 15 and I looked at our plan, and frankly, our plan is very similar to the 15. So there isn't a lot of extraneous material in here. There's some, but not a lot. What I can do is I can format it more succinctly, I think. I've already cut out the demographics, and that in itself was 12 pages, right? So it cuts this almost in half.
I mean, yeah, and when you say you cut it out, I mean, I hope you moved it into a separate document.
I did.
Because it's great information that we don't want to lose.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's what I did. So I couldn't work on this the last 2 weeks.
You have a pretty large excuse.
We'll talk to my wife about that. So anyway, we were both ill, and but I'm going to get back to this.
Okay.
I'll have this streamlined and finished by the next meeting.
Okay.
And then we can continue this discussion then?
Yep.
Sound good to you, Chair?
Yeah, I mean, it's you guys are on this. I just like, as mentioned before, we keep going around and around on this, and I am in my own right anxious to have something to pass on and to say we've done. We've been working on this since before we were talking about getting a communications manager in. So it's been a while.
You gotta have something for next year's annual report.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm just too used to us moving quick. So, but I realize that this is a big, important document and that we need to take care of it the right way. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. But maybe I'm just being too anxious, and the rest of us are fine with the pace that we're going at. But
It's government, man.
I know.
I will say, like, between the work that I'm doing with the branding project internally for the town, as well as working on communications surrounding the budget, as well as updating things on the website and everything else, like, I am not looking for work at this point. Like, I know that this is something that we're going to have to do. Sorry. But it's not like I have like hours to throw at it, if you will, in a week.
Well, it's no, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was gonna say you can keep going if you're talking.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yes, this is a document that is going to line up work for Kate and her role, but it's also proof to the select board, the rest of the departments, and the townspeople itself that we have a plan, right? And that we know what we're doing, and that things are going to move and be better, and we're going to make things, make this spending worthwhile. It's you brought up the branding committee. We got some responses, and we'll talk about that next. That like a lot of people are absolutely against it and think the money should be used for other things, and they don't see the reason for doing it. And having a game plan together, having a long-term plan, will hopefully go towards proving why we're doing it all. So that's sort of, there's a lot of new things happening in town. We're making a lot of moves. We're doing a lot of things. We're doing a lot of spending. Part of it is having a plan together to say this is why it's happening. Yes, we're all seeing step A, but here's where we're going to be at step D.
I'll get real philosophical here for a minute. Mark and I are part of the analog generation. You guys are part of the digital generation. It is definitely a seasonal, or it's a huge change in how people think and operate. And that's why it's that time. That time has come. But doesn't mean us analog folk are going to love it.
Right.
And we can't forget that too. That's an important thing to remember, is that we have two skill sets that we have to take into account.
Yeah. So there's always going to be pushback with big change.
Yeah. Anyway, I think unless there's anything else anybody wants to bring up, we can move past this. On to town social media. I have a little bit of an update. So I have not added you to this Facebook page. You are looking to be off the Facebook page. I originally was going to be the one that stepped down.
My problem is I just get too many alerts. I mean, if I can turn off the alerts that show up in my Facebook feed, I'll be fine. Too many notifications. But it's making it difficult for me I do it for work, getting all those notifications.
Gotcha.
So if we can turn those off, I'm fine with being on.
Has anybody else any experience with running groups or anything like that know how to turn off the notifications? I'm sure there's an option, but I haven't had to look into it myself. Like I told you, I just don't have Facebook on my phone, so.
I mean, I'll look into it.
No,
I did send Emily a friend request so that I could add her as an admin on the Facebook page, but she hasn't accepted it yet. So I'm wondering if I sent it to the wrong Emily.
I think so, probably.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, you didn't. Okay. It's because your last name is Ann on Facebook.
Yeah, I probably should have sent you a message. It's because we're foster parents, so I don't include my last name on my Facebook stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I just accepted it.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
I was wondering who that was.
So I'll send. So let's pull Ed and Emily. I'll send IT the final document. I have that in my inbox as well to fill out one last bit and send it to Kevin for record. But we should be good to go. And I can confirm you've done all the rest of the social media policies. Sign that and send it to Joanne. I don't think that I know there's like an electronics policy, but I don't think that matters for this one. So yeah, should be good to go. We're good to go on this one.
When you say IT final document, what do you mean?
So part of the social media policy is you have to sign that you agree to the policy.
Okay.
And then there's addendum B, because addendum A is to say that you're creating a new page.
Okay.
And addendum B.
No. A is the social media signing form that you've read it. B is to create a new page, and C is the one that goes to IT after it's already existing.
Okay.
I just filled out the one that was 1, 2, 3 today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The one that Joanne sent me was ABC. That was like the final. So she changed. Okay.
And we have the same problem with GoToMeeting. That's all I want to say.
All right.
What we have here is a pen.
Yeah, we're doing great. 2025. Okay, so yeah, that side of things should be good, and then you'll be all set to start helping out Kate and posting stuff. Working with Charlotte to get designs and stuff like that. So, anything else on the side of social media?
So yes, I met with Cindy at the library last week to review questions and concerns that her staff still had in regards to the current social media policy. She thought I had answered all of her questions well, and that they were going to be good to go, but apparently that's not the case. And I have a meeting tomorrow morning with the entire library staff to discuss the social media policy further.
Wow.
Okay.
So I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes.
Okay. Interesting. Especially since we have two people who are lightly affiliated with the library. Have you heard any of these rumblings?
haven't heard, no. I've heard that there's been issues, but I haven't
Gotcha.
heard.
Not to like put you on the spot, but it's like, do they know that you're on this committee as well? And-
Yes.
Okay.
So they don't talk to her.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So we'll see what they come back with. Hopefully we don't have to do another rewrite.
I do have a feeling that another rewrite is coming, and I've almost wanted to like tell Joanne to like stop collecting signatures, but I feel like that's a little putting the cart before the horse, and I should hear them out fully first.
Okay.
Let them rewrite.
All right. Anything else? No? Okay. Town newsletter. How's that going?
It is going well. We have a few updates for all of you tonight. And I wrote them down. So here they are. So, okay, so just last week when we all spoke, we were talking more about the platform and what way to go with it still, because we're moving away. We're not going to use Brevo because it was too buggy. Thinking about using Constant Contact, we were exploring some other options like potentially designing in Canva and exporting to Constant Contact. Emily gave us some helpful information. That doesn't seem like technically the best way to go, but we did look more into Constant Contact. Alyssa and I are pretty sure we can use it to design the newsletter with no problem. So we would like to go ahead with that platform. It does not have a free version, so our next step is like making sure we can actually use it in terms of being able to pay for it. I guess I may as well transmit those details now, which is the cost of it, which we've talked about before, but it was when comparing with other plans and stuff. So just to give you guys a sense of cost again of how much this platform would cost. It depends on how many subscribers you have. So if you have the first tier, which is only 0 to 500 subscribers, and you're on the basic, the cheapest plan, which is the light plan, which my understanding, I believe the Clap library uses the light plan. So I think it's robust enough. Anyway, so up to 500 subscribers, $12 a month. Up to 1,000 subscribers, $30 a month. Up to 2,500 subscribers, $50 a month. And again, for comparison, I think the library, I don't have the number offhand, but I think the library has under 2,000 subscribers. So I think we could start by just paying for up to 2,500 or I don't think we have to go beyond that, but it would be something like $50 a month. And so I think we have to, I don't actually know what to do. I was going to obviously reach out to Steve as somebody to talk to about this, but I'm not sure, Chris or anybody else, what advice you have for how to think about this at this point in time, at this point in the year.
So you basically just need to tell me, and I need to see where I can find the money from.
Communications, yeah.
I did hear you, Kate. Sorry, their conversation. Okay.
You
Sorry.
can fund
You're right.
Sorry.
So, Kate, what you said is great. I will write up the email, and should I send it to Alyssa and I will write it up, and should we send it to you and Steve, or just you, or what's the best way?
You can send it to me to start with, because
Okay.
It'll be easier to talk to him about it than if he just gets another thing in his inbox.
Perfect. Kate, this is great. This is why it's awesome. So thank you. So we'll do that. I'll do that tonight or tomorrow. The other, oh, sorry, Chris.
Yeah, just one other thing that you can consider is, and we do this where I work, but with a different tool. We use ActiveCampaign, but like, you could start at the lowest tier. So like I don't know how the government's going to work because you typically pay for a full year at once or whatever, but we start at the lowest tier, and then as we gain more contacts, we just bump it up, right? The month period or the week period that we end up having to bump up, we just do it, right? again, that's for a commercial business, so things work a little differently. The authorization is pretty quick and easy. But like, I wonder if we could just get the authorization for like a few months, and if we end up saving on the first 2 or 3 because we only have, we're under 500 contacts, and then after that it increases, then that's good that we save that money.
I think that's a good idea. Kate, you could talk to Steve if that's like, possible in terms of how the payments work. But if it is, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and the other side too is getting it, and I'll talk to Cynthia at the library about how they managed to get it paid for, because it seems like it's nearly impossible for people to like buy online subscriptions in the town because of like tax or something. Like it's amazing the loopholes to like buy things. Like you just can't go and like give them your credit card and pay for it. Like you have to get to it has to be done with no tax. So like I said, I'll talk to the library about how they did it, and then I'm going to present it to Steve and Kevin, because it would probably come out of Kevin's budget being a software. So I'll talk to them how they do it. That way Kevin doesn't have any questions about like, oh, taxes, yada yada yada. So
Yes, I remember too that very early on in this process, Steve was saying he might tap into various departments. Each department might have to chip into it rather than pulling from one pot. He might have everybody chip into it. So
There is a thing called the Mass Higher Education Consortium, towns in the state use for purchasing. And I would look and see if and it covers the world. So I would look and see if these apps are in that book, and if they are, it'll be easier to purchase them.
Okay. Wonder how that works.
that's how we.
It's just a PO.
They're pre-authorized.
Yeah, it's a purchase.
Yes. Okay, I remember that now.
Yep.
Yeah. Lou, do you have any like quick information or Ed that you could just send to Allegra and Alyssa on that? Just on the
MHEC?
Yeah.
I've just typed in MHEC in my search bar and it'll show up.
Okay. Just so that you guys have that and you can use it, check it out.
Great.
Yeah, it's MHEC.net.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, great. So those were actually, that was actually 2 of the 4 updates, because it was about choosing constant contact and figuring out how to go forward with it. So that's great. Thank you. And then the other 2 things are, Alyssa had started this a while back, and we just got back to it now, which is we started developing a list of contacts that we want to make sure when we launch this thing that everybody has the opportunity to submit whatever they want. Not everybody, but committees, departments, and other community groups. And so we are going to share it with all of you. It's an Excel spreadsheet. We're going to share it with you after the meeting to see if there's groups or committees potentially that we're missing that you know of in town that would be good to reach out to say if you have anything for the newsletter. So I will share the link in an email afterwards. And Ed, thanks again. Ed had already tracked down a lot of contact information for committees, so we are going to incorporate that. And then the last thing is just to get back to actually social media related. Kate had posted on Facebook. Allegra has just opened her Facebook account for the first time in many years to look at this, and she's going to do that more. I'm not really a Facebook user, but I do have an account, and I'm trying now to tune into more town things because I realize it's good for me to know what's going on in the social media world. So Kate, I saw your post about the name suggestions for the newsletter. I don't know if like it's worth pulling up or talking about now. I didn't really have a plan for what to do with that in this meeting, but I just wanted to say that I actually think there were a few good names on that list.
Yeah, I totally agree. There are definitely some good names on that list. Yeah, I don't know how you want to do it. Like it's a big list. I don't know if you and Allegra like want to pick your top 3 for next week or something.
Okay. We could definitely do that. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, why don't we come back with a few selections that we can talk about next week?
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks, Kate.
Yeah. And I think that's really it for us. So if you guys have questions, but that's where we're at this week.
No, not really any questions. Had an idea that, I don't know if Constant Contact has automations that, like, it just sets up things to like send an email automatically with certain things. But if you have a list of all of the committee members, you have all their email addresses, you can perhaps add them as a list in Constant Contact, put them in one of those automations, and just send out a reminder email every month to say, hey, don't forget, send in some of your updates to us. And no promises it will make the newsletter, but this is how to get your updates out.
That's
Just
a
make
great
it easier.
idea.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, I think putting a little time into setting up some automations or manual workflows so that we don't have to like figure out how to do everything every month. I think that's a great idea. And that's a good specific suggestion.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Excellent. Branding updates. This is Kate and I. So the branding committee has met again. We met this week. We've officially picked our chair is going to be Nate Shattuck. Molly Robinson is going to be the vice chair, and I am going to be the clerk. I'm going to try out Lou's role for a little while. We had a little bit of shuffle. Doug is no longer a voting member. Instead, Kate is going to be a voting member. Everybody else is going to be, all the ex officios are now going to be associates, so they're not voting, but they are still involved in the conversations. So we still are looking for, and we had another member join, so we're now 4 people, five voting members out of 7 open seats. So we're still looking for 2 more people to join. There's an open call again in the newspapers and everything, so we'll see what happens. In the meantime, we still have to move fast. The RFP is already out for the designer. We've already seen 3 submitted, but we are aware of many, many more that are going to come in the next few weeks. Or I think it's, okay, what was it, end of next week is when we're going to stop? The end of the month, the last day of the month is going to be the last day.
Yeah, you're gonna have somebody in place by mid-Feb, I think.
Yes. So end of the month, we're going to close out the RFP. We're going to meet on the 5th to take a look at all of them, decide, narrow it down to 3, 4, whatever. And we've already decided on a subcommittee that is going to do the hiring process. That is going to be Kate, Molly, and I believe it's Maureen. I forget her last name. Sorry, it looked like Kate was going to say something. And feel free to chime in so I'm not just giving a full update. So we have a subcommittee set up, as well as Danielle, the project manager, is going to be facilitating those meetings. And we already have time held for the few days, like immediately after we've narrowed it down, so we can get things moving as fast as possible, because this needs to get going. We have also received the town staff feedback, or a good chunk of it. Kate, do you want to talk about that? And you're on mute, and I can talk about it if your cold is too much.
Yeah, I think you should probably talk about it, because if I talk too much, then I cough, and it's not good for any of us.
All right, no problem. We have about, it was 76 responses?
Wow.
So far?
It was 76. I'm opening it right now. We are up to 81 now.
81 responses?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are in town, how many staff members there are.
I'm gonna say hundreds.
200 sticks out in my mind.
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's accurate at all. But we did our survey with the town staff, and I think we had like 8 responses. So
Yeah.
this is 10 times better than what we
No,
got.
this is a good number, 81 out of a couple.
This is a really good number. The response levels have been, so we set out, set of questions, like, what do you think of the current town seal? How do you use the current town seal? What are some things about Belchertown that come to mind when you think about it? And then, what are your thoughts on and are there any other concerns, right? A lot of people either said they have no thoughts on the town seal or they're fine with it, right? Nobody was like ecstatic, like they loved it. There were a handful of people that said that it was, too busy or they didn't like it.
But indifference was the.
But sort of indifference was sort of the winner, I think.
Yeah.
When it came to how people use it, we got a lot of like digital stuff, a lot of paperwork that they use it on. You have different groups like the BPD has it on their vehicles, TPW has it on their vehicles, and then we had a non-insignificant number of people say that they don't know how it's being used in their department, which is also an interesting sign.
They observe them.
Yeah. When it came to thoughts around Belchertown, we were a little surprised that it was all basically around agriculture and outdoor recreation kind of stuff or nature. We knew that was sort of going to be it, but we figured there would be a lot more ideas that came out of the word work as well. But it was very much just farming and nature, which,
That's why we moved here.
yeah. And then the sort of disheartening part of it is sort of the additional thoughts or what are your ideas on rebranding?
Mm.
And the sentiment was just incredibly negative through most of it.
Mm.
A lot of people said, it doesn't need to happen. Why are we wasting our money on this? Stuff like that, which those were a lot of the initial responses. Kate ended up sending out an infographic about, why we were doing it, that it's, money was already spent on this. It's part of the COVID plan with ARPA funds. It was actually a suggestion from the, for the use of ARPA funds when that was originally sent out, was doing a rebranding of your town and making it more,
Pioneer Valley.
more modern for tourists and stuff like that to sort of pick up on business once COVID was over. So we're doing it by the book. This is something that the state and federal government said we should do. But a lot of the town sentiment is why are we bothering with this? It's a waste of money, waste of time, which is unfortunate. And I think that we're just not doing a good enough job as a committee to displaying why we should be doing that on both the website and just in our discussions with folks. So that's one of the hurdles that we definitely have to get over. So
Wasn't there a big Facebook posting about branding and why it's happening? So
it wasn't very big, I would say. I think there were 6 responses. I noted your wife was one of them. She had her statement was that we should not remove the church from the icon.
I've heard that from a few people. Yeah.
Right, where I actually oppose putting the church on there. That it's religious iconography should be.
It's also, we can argue this, but it's
right.
You couldn't be a town without a church.
Right.
Back in the beginning, you had to have a meeting house before you could become a town.
Right.
So anyway,
I do want to just cut in and make sure we touch on the fact that a lot of people, over 50% of the people, don't think we actually need a cohesive visual identity for the town to be successful.
Right.
And I think that that's part of where we really need to work on focusing is having people understand why it is important.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
One comment I want to make, because I'm looking at your webpage right now, and I think you guys did an exceptional job of communicating. You got a good Q&A, you got an FAQ, you know. To me, this is a model of outreach.
Thank you.
You know, I think you put together a really good page.
Danielle was a big part of it, right? From the AEG, you know, she's done this before, you know, and she knew what to expect. So she wrote up a lot of this. Kate helped out with it. So I will not take, I posted it. You know, I won't take credit.
But I think
Good job.
I think it's, like I said, I think it's a model for doing things. You know? Now, I guess the question is just getting the word out to everybody. You know, it's all here. You know, it's just getting people to read it. It's the next hurdle, you know.
Was the branding project funded by a warrant article?
No.
ARPA funds.
So that's essentially where we're at. You know, we're moving forward. We're moving quick. We have a good game plan. But like I said, there's you know, this step back we also have to take and look at how we're, you know, still branding the website and stuff like that, and what we can do to get that in front of people again.
So my question is, we come up with a new town seal logo. How does it become accepted? Is the select board, town clerk, they have to approve it? If they do, then it's a done deal?
Yep. And then so we're following the city of Amesbury in their model of how they did it. And there would be a 5-year rollout after that of getting it onto everything, because they realized that, you know,
You're not gonna throw away everything.
right, you're not gonna throw away everything. It's not cheap to just suddenly rewrap all of the vehicles with new
Right.
logos. A lot of that stuff takes time. But but like, you know, getting everybody's documents to have the correct seal is that can be done over a week. You know, like here's the new stuff, put it on all your documents, or any documents going forward need to have
Electronic documents.
right, electronics and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and then, you know, eventually start printing out new ones.
Yeah.
So it is a phased approach that we're also going to have to operate under.
So, did the committee discuss criteria for selection, for selection of those things that would appear on the seal? And if not, how would you make decisions?
We want to get the designer involved first, and we are going to have a bunch of surveys go out, or not a bunch, it's probably going to be one big survey go out to the townsfolk. We have a canvassing approach of, you know, making sure that we're setting up both a page for surveys, getting paper surveys out to certain communities and locations.
Chris, not to cut you off, I fully thought that that's what we were doing, and I left our last branding meeting under the impression that Danielle really didn't want to do that, and that we might be facing an upward battle to get those done. Like, I feel that that's hugely important, probably more so important than the employees in town. I don't know if you got that same impression during our last meeting.
She said she wasn't sure about it, but I think, again, it was going to let's get the designer involved and see where we're at.
Okay.
That was my take from it. So there is probably more discussion around it, but step one is getting the designer. Step two is starting to get impressions and whatnot, which I realize can be sort of backwards. But we really want to get somebody with the artistic idea going as soon as possible and getting them hired now, so that as the ideas come in, they can start working.
So you're giving him a blank piece of paper, essentially. You're giving him no input.
I don't think it's entirely blank. I mean, yes, the staff responses are not the entire town's responses, but I don't think it's going to go much further than agriculture and nature and stuff like that.
A tree with a tractor. We're done. Okay.
Well, you know, we'll see what comes out of it. But
No. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Did that answer well enough, or just more questions? I'm sure there's a lot to figure out.
I mean, I think about two things with respect to seals. First of all, does it reflect the long-term objectives of the town? And I've talked to Steve about this. Do you have them? Well, we have a quasi long-term plan for the town. I think it's 400 or 500 pages, so it's a little bit hard to read. But yes, we have that. And so the question would be, okay, if you distill that into 5 to 10 concepts, what would they be? And do you want your seal to reflect those concepts? That's one thing. But the other thing is, I can't help but think about this particular thing. Do you want religion on the seal or not? Is it discriminatory? And so that's something to think about.
Right.
Do you want the carriage on the seal, even though a lot of towns in Massachusetts have carriages on the seal? So, I mean, you would think that you could develop maybe 5 to 10 key questions that your committee, or that just the population of the town would want to respond to give you some guidance as to what would actually appear on that seal. Anyway, that's the way I think of it.
Yeah. I will say that I'm just happy that decisions were made in this last committee meeting, that we have moved forward with much of anything, because the one before that was a lot of just restructuring and reorganizing and setting a tone. So, not to say that what we're doing isn't important or that we're not getting stuff done now, but it took a beat, especially with the delays over the holiday period and becoming a committee. So, excellent points. That is something that I'll bring to the table with the next one. Yeah. Any other questions, concerns, anything about the branding? Okay. If anybody knows anybody who is a designer, there's an RFP out. If anybody knows anybody who has any strong feelings about the logo, seal, then have them join the committee. We have two open seats.
Is there any budget, anybody, that they open to anybody?
At some point, yes. I think we wanted to sort of get, there was no necessary statement or anything about requirements. I know that the idea was to try to get people from diverse backgrounds in town. We've, I believe, hit the mark with the like townies with Nate Shattuck.
It's a town name.
Yeah, right. That's yeah, and you know, and both Molly and Maureen are they work in like advertising, so they work with designers and do this kind of rebranding stuff all the time. Myself on the digital end, but I think we're looking for hopefully to pull in some people that have other skills than that or other opinions towards the design or anything else.
Yeah.
Diversity, but I don't know what, I will not make a statement as to what that means as far as this committee goes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think at some point it's just that like we're already moving, we have a deadline and we have 2 open seats. Let's fill in.
Enough said.
Yeah. Okay. Next is Belchertown.org. I have a quick question about that. We mentioned the last time that the, what is it, cannabis committee or cannabis organization absolutely needed to get information up and online. Do we know of anything about that?
I don't remember that being said last time.
Yeah, we talked about that there was documentation coming from the Cannabis Control Commission, and it was stuff that Doug had to send over to me. This was back around Christmas, and I have not received that yet from Doug, but I will reach back out to him about that to see if it's fallen off of his radar.
So cannabis control information.
Commission.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. That we could actually get in trouble for being non-compliant and having that up there.
Correct.
Okay.
And
Yep.
that was why I marked that as a, let's make sure that's a quick discussion first.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, I don't think I have any updates on it. We've added a few new people to be able to edit their own pages. We had analytics from last time. Kate, it sounds like the analytics is running well. Getting thumbs up from her. So that's all we have for that stuff. Any other thoughts or anything? Kate, you were working on the calendars as well. Is there any update on those?
No, it's been a fast last 2 weeks.
Okay,
Okay.
good enough. And I'm sorry for picking on you with your, that I keep asking you questions.
Just confidence face, that's it.
Okay, next item is gonna be our last item really, is the town report. I sent out the draft to everybody after the last meeting. I got a couple responses. I've integrated them into this. It would be great. Do you guys want me to read it now and because it's due tomorrow?
Let's do tomorrow.
It's due tomorrow, so.
Why don't you have copies for us to look at?
I have 3 copies that I can pass around. One of them does have Ed's notes on it. I can read it off of my computer because I have it up. If there are any egregious statements, I would love to be able to just get everybody's approval.
Do you want to put it on the screen?
Might not be big enough for my old eyes.
If you have it and want to share it to the screen while I read it from my computer.
Okay. Wow. All right.
I was able to get a graph, but unfortunately, like, there was a gap in our analytics, and that was a graph that we got from at least the first 3 months of the site being up. We have analytics of that. So I think that's okay. I'd love to have everything sent, but that'll have to be that. Bear with me. I'll give this a quick read. Everybody thumbs up.
Okay.
Right? Starts with the committee overview. The communication committee focused on enhancing town communication infrastructure, promoting transparency, and fostering community engagement. Key initiatives included advancing the Belchertown website, exploring the creation of a town newsletter, and initiating plans to hire a part-time communications manager. This year saw significant changes in committee membership. Early in the year, one member resigned, and later another member resigned and was subsequently hired as the town's communications manager. Additionally, one member reduced their role to that of an associate member. Despite these transitions, the committee welcomed 3 new members, including one of the youngest committee members in town history. It's worth reporting that, I think. If you feel uncomfortable with that, okay. Furthermore, 2 ex officio members joined the committee of the communications manager and the BCTV general manager. We now have a total of 7 active members with no open seats, an associate member, a select board liaison, and 2 ex officio members for a total of 11 brilliant minds working towards the betterment of Belchertown's communication efforts. In order to be a more effective committee, we had our authorized committee size changed from 9 to 7 members, or 9 members to 7. Key projects and activities. I took Allegra's idea and bolded the different items. I also, we had a note that we're going to make these digital, so I put in the websites of any of the references. There was only a handful of them there. I thought those were great ideas to put those in there. Progress on the town's digital presence was a central focus this year. The committee researched new vendors to host the town's website and selected Civic Plus. It then undertook a complete overhaul of the belchertown.org website URL, enhancing its functionality and user experience based on community feedback. Analytics have helped monitor website traffic, which saw over 18,000 visits since July 2024. That's actually incorrect. That's visits in the first 3 months.
Editing on the fly.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. The committee also expanded the town's social media presence on Facebook. A comprehensive social media policy was developed with input from the Clap Library and Town Council to ensure alignment with community needs and legal standards. Next, I have that chart of the first 3 months of activity. The committee conducted a comprehensive, I do have a blank here for the social media engagement chart. Kate, have you ever pulled, like...
I did that earlier today, and the email didn't send, and when I turned my computer on for this meeting, I saw it fluttering off into space to you. So you should have it when you look at your email again.
Okay, so I'm going to try to get a social media thank you. The committee conducted a comprehensive town communication survey, which received 231 responses from residents, businesses, and town employees. Members dedicated significant time to analyzing the data, identifying key insights into how residents receive and prefer to receive information about town activities and services. Results were compiled into a detailed report with an executive summary, which was presented to the select board to inform decision-making and future communication strategies. Link attached. This effort highlighted the importance of surveys as a tool of community feedback and planning. The committee played a supporting role in town branding efforts initiated by the Creative Economy Coordinator. While these efforts were largely driven externally, the committee ensured representation in the newly formed Branding Belchertown Committee. Additionally, the committee approved funding for data collection to better understand town communication issues, which will help inform future initiatives. The committee also assisted the Board of Health in navigating online participation for a significant public meeting, ensuring accessibility and effective communication during a critical decision. That was the nicotine-free generation. The creation of a comprehensive communications plan was another central focus, drawing inspiration from municipalities such as Lexington, Massachusetts. The committee drafted and is continuing to refine a strategic plan that incorporated external best practices and internal committee feedback, demographic analysis using U.S. Census and American Community Services data informed the plan's objectives and strategies. A hybrid approach combining surveys and interviews was selected to gather insights from town departments and residents. Work to launch the town newsletter has gained momentum with design and template development nearly finalized. I hope that's still kind of true. Yeah.
Well, as of the writing.
Yeah. The committee plans to release a Welcome to the Town issue in early 2025. It also hopes to ensure accessibility across multiple platforms and physical locations such as the library and senior center. Personnel efforts include rewriting the position description for the BCTV Manager and the first ever Town Communications Manager, both of which were approved by town meeting in May. Both of these efforts were well timed because ARPA funds became available to allow for hiring both positions without impacting town financials. Members of the committee served on the search committees for both positions, which resulted in successful hires, both of whom began their roles in December 2024. The committee accomplished all of this without its own dedicated budget, realizing significant cost savings through volunteer efforts. However, the new website incurred, and this is a little different because that gave me a change. However, the new website incurred town costs of approximately $33,000 and change, and the new positions were funded through ARPA resources. Recommendations for 2025. Moving forward, the committee aims to publish the first ever Belchertown Communications Plan, ensuring it serves as a strategic guide for ongoing and future efforts. This will be a living document, continually updated as needed. Fully integrating the communications manager into initiatives and clarifying the role within the committee will be crucial. Enhancing community feedback mechanisms through focus surveys and public forums is recommended to maintain alignment with residents' needs. Expanding newsletter distribution and establishing a consistent publication schedule will remain a priority, as will continued assistance in posting to the town's social media page. Additionally, the committee will continue refining town branding efforts, including the completion of the new town seal and logo. Conclusion. The Communication Committee made significant strides in improving Belchertown's communication channels and fostering community engagement in 2024. These efforts lay a strong foundation for continued success and innovation for the years to come. Cool. Yes.
American Community Survey
American Community Survey
of the U.S. Census.
Not services data,
You want to see?
Correct.
but American Community Survey data. Okay. Cool. Any other just thoughts? I know there was a lot kind of thrown out here all at once.
Excellent job.
Great job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Do you want us to vote to approve it, or are you just consensus?
We can vote to approve. We haven't done a vote in a while. I know we all want to get out of here, but
I move that we accept it.
As read.
As read.
all those, there's a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Allegra, thank you. That's unanimous. Sorry.
7.
Excellent. Cool. I will submit that tomorrow morning. Additional items for discussion, topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I don't think anything came through that I didn't anticipate. We'll keep in mind that that is going to be an interesting topic now that we're required to submit agendas 3 days before the meeting instead of 2, which we ran into an issue with this one where 3 days ahead is now Monday. Mondays are more likely to be holidays, so now agendas will be due on Fridays. So basically we have to submit them a week before the actual event. So
Yep, business days, not holidays.
topics not reasonably anticipated might become like a legit full thing in the future. So just so you know.
And I think, I kind of genericized that just to get it in. Should we just keep it that way, do you think?
That line?
No, the whole agenda.
Oh, perhaps.
That way we just. Good idea.
Yeah, probably. Committee member announcements and informal topics. Anything extra from anybody? Any other? We're all like gearing to get out of here. Yeah. Next meeting time.
In February.
We're talking February. We're talking the 13th. So 3 weeks away.
However, that's the same night as that joint meeting with select finance, so would we want to avoid that?
Well, if they're in there, we could be in here, or do we want to participate in that meeting? I know that BCTV will be there actively.
Yeah,
I'm
I'd
sure
be
that
in and out, but I
Esther's
think that
gonna
would be
there.
okay.
There's talk about moving that meeting to a different date, but I don't know if they have yet.
Okay,
Okay.
Put it as a placeholder and then change.
So I say let's take it for now, the 13th.
7 p.m.
Yep.
TVA location.
7 p.m. I would still plan for this. This room is reserved for us
Okay.
at that time, and I haven't gotten notice that we don't have it.
Thank you.
There is a possibility that it could be taken away from us, but I would hope that they would meet in the other room
That would be crazy.
to do it again.
They're like,
after
no,
that.
we need a small room.
We absolutely want people standing in the hallway.
Wow.
Yeah.
Be a strategy.
Audio could be real.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, I vote to adjourn.
sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Allegra, thank you.
Keller and Teal. I
Very
have
good. It
I have
is
8:43. What do you have there, Chair?
8:43. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.